Hi guys. So the next saint that really means a lot to me is Neem Karoli Baba. So what's so significant about Neem Karoli Baba? Ramdas, which had the name Richard Albert, he went in the 70s to India, and he was on the Baba hunt, on the search for gurus, and he found Neem Karoli Baba and studied under him for many years. I think 4 years or something. He actually studied with him for a long time. And the guy who introduced him to Ramdas was also a very special guy. All these guys were very special. But what was so special about Neem Karoli Baba was his ability to transfer that love in such a captivating way, where sweep the legs around him. He would sweep the people around him with his humor. This humorous way, which also is seen so much across Zen Buddhism and stuff, where you see these Tibetan lamas and stuff, and they will have this captivating, heart melting humorous love. And that's such a way that these guys always got the love across. They got this love across by being humorous and being funny and kind of having that quirkiness, But what was so special about this guy? Man, this guy was something else. He kind of reminds me of Ramana Maharshi as well, because Ramana Maharshi is like my guru. It feels like, in a sense of non-duality, the teacher that I resonate with the most. But they have many, they remind me of each other. Maybe Ramana Maharshi was not as humorous and funny, and he didn't have the same sense of quirkiness. But I mean, I could go through the whole story of what happened back then, but so much stuff happened. The story is so long, but why he was such a good teacher, no one really knows. But he was more than just a teacher, because he taught by just existing and being the way that he was, and that was what was so inspiring about Neem Karoli Baba, was his ability to just be his quirky, real self, and by that everyone around him was inspired automatically. Just like these Zen teachers, where you hear stories, they will hit people with sticks, or tell the riddles, the riddles and the jokes, and it will make people connected in a way that preaching non-duality in this sense, it will be too dry for people, and you just lose people who aren't in touch with that part of themselves, where humor is such a way of melting away people's ego, and it doesn't feel like an attack towards your ego when someone is making fart jokes and I don't know, telling you to get out of here, get out of my house, or trying to get rid of you, or all these funny stories from Neem Karoli Baba. And but he had this way of being himself, and by being yourself, you, maybe in a little bit more seemingly unspiritual or informal way, by being yourself in a personal sense, you are being, in my opinion, you are being your true self, as long as it's not rooted in your false self. But by being your true self, you actually are being the supreme self, if that makes any sense. So by being your real self, you automatically become the capital S self, and then you don't have to preach in such a way as many saints have tried to do, preach in this certain way. We could make people uncomfortable, but this was probably a gift that was so attractive about Baba, was his I know I'm just repeating myself, and I've said this a million times now. So there was a lot of interesting things about Neem Karoli Baba. I mean, he was just like, he was one out of a thousand. Like, yeah, he pulled people in a way where even the people who maybe weren't attracted to the path, even those people would gravitate towards him. No one had the kind of like attraction that he had, especially within the psychedelic community. People like Ram Dass and Bhagavan Das, who I believe introduced Ram Dass to Neem Karoli. Those kind of people were really interested in him because that he was a kind of a psychedelic dude. But a lot of, I mean, most people in that in those generations, they felt a pull to this guy, and many of them didn't even know why, but they just felt a pull. And that's what's interesting about gurus, because the same thing happened about Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna, about Ramana Maharshi, of course, about most of these saints. Is they sit around in some cave, and then you have millions of people just feeling attracted to the aura, and they just gravitate towards them, and all they do is just sit around and do nothing basically. But the aura is so intense and so strong that the people just feel called to it. And I think that that's the true difference between a real and a false guru, is that the real guru don't have to like collect followers. It's like a pinball machine of like ching, and search for people to worship them. I think the true guru is always just sitting around and will attract people naturally, because if it's the real deal, the atmosphere around you will change, and the people will come naturally, flocking to get a piece of the vibration. But it's interesting, and it was interesting times as well, because it was right after the hippie movement times. But the most interesting part about the guru and the role that they had wasn't the external. The most interesting part about them was how they internally made the people around them feel. How Ram Dass felt when he was there, how Bhagavan felt when he was there, how all the people grew inside, and they said, "Oh my God, I'm here in India, and it's so incredible that I have gotten this amazing transformation," and blah blah blah. But not knowing that this person is activating all this growth within themselves, and it's just a mirror. He's just showing them how it will look like when they reach this state within themselves. So he was only, a representation of this is what enlightenment is going to look like, most likely. This humorous, open, relaxed, worry-free state, but he isn't like, he wasn't guiding anyone. And I know that he's still guiding people, because I have people that I associate with who are still being transformed by this guy, even though he's dead now. So, and this applies to all gurus, all real authentic gurus, that all across the board, the word guru can even be applied in other scenarios, like a guru of anything else, and those are guides as well. And I don't know, it's, if you want to learn how to fix a car, you need a car guru, so it's not so weird that you need a guru of enlightenment to get enlightenment. and you don't need it, but I mean, many people do because it is not easy for a lot of people. For me, I don't feel it's that hard, so I don't need a guru, but I even feel that it helps. And for a lot of people who feel that it's very overwhelming, they definitely feel that they need a guru. And I don't think that we should shame those people and say, oh, you should do it all by yourself, because you don't do anything by yourself in life. Breathing even is not, I mean, you don't breathe by yourself, do you? You get the oxygen from the trees. I mean, it's all one connected atmosphere. So don't think we should judge people for choosing that path, not having a guru. But what I was saying earlier is he was just a representation in that sense, and this applies to all gurus, that the guru is often just that representation of this is how you can become, but he wasn't transforming them. He was just being that mirror, that representation of what they can achieve, and then they did the work themselves automatically, and they became that. But he was just acting as a representation, as a mirror, and he changed them that way. This is how the guru changes people most of the time. They are saying, okay, you have to walk the path, but I can show you which way to go, and then you do the work and you end up there. But I don't transform you. I just sit here and laugh and be a weird, funny guy in a blanket, and you get inspired by that and you do the work, because by doing that you facilitate a space in which people can actually bring about and do the work, rather than someone sitting alone in an apartment in New York City or in like who God knows where, but they sit in this big city in their apartment trying to utilize that space to become aware, which can be very difficult, very, very tricky. So what the guru is doing there is he's facilitating a space where he is saying, okay, I'm facilitating this place where there's a conducive energy to be able to do this inner work, and I at the same time inspire people by being you can say by being God, because God is often seen as being the highest potential. So by being and embodying this highest potential, those people around him get inspired, and not only inspired, but they get into this conducive environment where they can, and you can have this even just in a sangha, right, with other spiritual like-minded people trying to go for the same goal. You can feel that this environment is conducive rather than being a materialistic environment with the common goals of getting only wealth and acquiring only safety, which is just a short-term survival goal, as opposed to the goal of awareness, which is a flowering goal of saying, okay, we have 70 years on this earth or whatever we have, and it's more about seeing what is the long-term happiness that I can generate to create long-term wealth for not material wealth, but material and non-material wealth, but the kind of wealth that is an all-around conduciveness and positive creation to people, like a contributing to the all-around collective in your lifetime. So saying, I want to bring something of value, something of true value, because wealth is not of true value, but something that is of true value that I can bring in this lifetime.